at that.
All right, we're recording.
You're at the forefront of making
Okay, we'll
decisions
call
about.
the planning commission meeting to order at, like 1 minute to 6 maybe here on 5/11. You have the agenda in front of you.
Move to approve the agenda as printed.
Jason moves to approve, second.
Second?
Ray. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are those opposed, like sign? Hearing none. Disclosure of conflicts of interest. Any disclosures, any conflicts? Hearing none. We'll move on, general public comment. We will have a, public hearing for the Chandler Estate, so if you wish to talk then, we will probably open the floor to the public at that time. Or you, if you'd like to, any public like to make a, comment right now, you're welcome to step up to the podium and, state your name and such, where you live and.
Hi, thank you for your time. I'm Sunny Lira. I live actually in Chandler Estates. And actually I just need to know a little bit more what's going on with this daycare. It does affect us. It actually is right across from our place. So I do we haven't really heard anything about what's going on with it. So I'm kind of interested. There's already one daycare in our subdivision. So it does bring a little bit more traffic through, with this additional daycare. Because this is just a residential subdivision, it's not commercial, it's not, any other kind of use. So it is gonna bring, uptick the traffic.
Okay.
That's where our concern is. There's a lot more younger, we've been there, well, actually, my mom has been there close to 50 years. I am residing with her since my dad passed. And I will be obtaining the house after, so that's my concern. There's a lot more, younger families moving into the subdivision, and there's a lot of people that walk through. I don't know if you guys have considered to actually run their daycare off of Chandler Road. Since their house does face Chandler, it would be an easy access to their daycare, instead of bringing it in through the subdivision.
Great, so a lot of those questions could be answered during the open, hearing. So, hopefully, hearing those, Miles, the planner, and them guys, and the applicants would be able to answer some of those questions for you. And
Okay.
then you'll also get a chance to talk again if you'd like.
Perfect.
Thank you so much. Is there any others? All right, hearing no others, we have the minutes in front of us. Is there a motion for approval of those, or?
Move to approve as printed.
Second, Mark. Jason moved to approve. Mark seconded. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign. Hearing none. Communications, Miles. we have
Yeah,
any?
we have one actually, it came in late today, it was from Meridian, I've got it pulled up here on the screen and I will email this out, a blind copy, the planning commission on it, but it's just their development schedule for the year. I thought this was pretty cool. They put together, a list of local construction jobs they've got going on, some, existing trails that they're doing some maintenance on, and just kind of overall road and non-motorized, facilities and maintenance going on for the year. So I'll email that out to everybody. I thought it was interesting. I thought it was worth sharing with you guys.
Nice. Anything else?
That's it. Thank you.
Item number 7, old business, Chandler Estates Daycare, public hearing. Says we're seeking action. Miles, could you kick that off for us?
Yeah, so just to remind everyone, and, for people that might not know, this would be a use permitted by special use permit in the zoning district in, township. Kind of the difference between a by right, small group home daycare versus a group home daycare is the difference between 1 to 6 children, and 7 to 12 children. Anything 13 plus, now you're getting into more what people would traditionally relate with a more commercialized daycare facility. The state of Michigan, has push for the 6 under to be more of a by right use and to have the 7 to 12 as a special use permit permitted throughout the state. They're trying to encourage this, obviously, if anybody's familiar with daycare expenses similar to the housing crisis. This is something that the state has paid close attention to, the cost of daycare. I don't have kids myself, but talking to many of those that have kids here that work, I think on average, people are paying somewhere between $1,200 and $1,400 a month. That's expensive. So, with that being said, early on in this project, in consultation with the applicant and the township's legal counsel, they've encouraged me to let the planning commission specifically know, even though this is related by, or permitted by a special use permit, there are caveats in state law of what the planning commission, local zoning authority, can and can't stipulate as a part of this approval process. So if it meets zoning similar to most by right uses, the body's compelled to grant an approval. Obviously, you can still put conditions on that approval. We have some listed here. There are caveats on the nature of the conditions, though, that are allowed to be put on this. That's a little bit more restrict than even other special use permits. So you'll see a smaller list. For that reason, and then the second reason we have a smaller list of recommended conditions is they're not building any structures here. So a lot of our conditions that you'll typically see are related to the establishment of new principal structures, accessory structures, engineering, and different things that would need to be reviewed. The structures themselves aren't changing, the facilities such, supporting the structure aren't changing, the lighting on site's not changing. It's really the land use itself that is almost, in zoning, it would be called upzoning. I guess this would be like upland using, for lack of a better term. I guess in my opinion, it is a minor land use change. We're going from the ability right now by right of doing 6 children to, watching 12. With that being said, obviously there are traffic implications there. It was brought up tonight by the member of the public. The drive, that is something we've considered. I think the applicants considered that, so. The road commission's considered that. I think the applicants talked to the road commission about those options. So, yeah, it's well put. It's something that we're all thinking about. So I think that would be good. With that being said, it's not something that we're seeking, or at least the planning department's proposing to require of the applicant, just more of a recommendation. Any questions or anything I'm missing that's pertinent?
Move to open the committee to a, whatever, committee of a whole, whatever that process is.
Public hearing.
Here.
Thank you.
Is there a
That,
second?
Second.
Thank you.
All right. We're open to the public. Do any of the commissioners want to comment before public? Hearing none?
well, I have a question. The police requirements for surveillance, that seems a bit outsized for the size of the facility. Is there justification for that? I mean, this seems equivalent to what was required for Chandler Estates or Chandler Crossings, the apartment complex.
In their agency review, they always put, hey, this is our standard surveillance language, so that's just what they've been using in my experience for, I think it was Chief Smith that started using that language and it's continued. I think that's perfectly astute though and reasonable. If you wanna dial that back, this body has full autonomy to dial that back or dial that up.
I'd like to hear from the applicant as to whether or not this is something that they would like to have or not like.
Are you meaning a reference to cameras on
Yeah.
the site? So we already have cameras
Can-
on our site.
Can I have you step up to the podium? Can you introduce yourself also, please?
Hi, so Chelsea McMillan, I'm the applicant that's looking at doing this. So I did review all this. We already do have cameras on site, just for safety of our own. We go through ADT, so we have an ADT security system, plus multiple cameras. We have one that faces our driveway, one that faces our, yard, and then one that also already faces our actual driveway and then going into like the house. And then we have some that are within the home as well, that are basically like sensors by the doors to let us know and to let us know when people are coming and going. So that is something that like we already do have.
So you have no
cameras
concern
on.
with these conditions?
No, I do
Thank you.
not.
Appreciate it.
Can you address any of the other issues?
So like Miles kind of pointed out, we have been in contact with the road commission. Obviously, there is a process to getting that opened up, getting like the proper stuff, put in and everything. It is something I am currently working on. I saw that also, the fire department, had kind of put in something about opening it up, making it more of like a two-way as well, just for helping out like my parents and everything like that. That is something we're looking at, honestly doing both, because it's gonna be a process, obviously, to start getting that cleared out, getting that done. And so we have then kind of talked about widening and opening it up, just to kind of make everyone at ease of both situations as we're working with the road commission.
When you say opening it up, you're talking about making an access onto Chandler?
Yes, so that, opening that up, but then I also, the fire department kind of wanted to see more of the one-way driveway opened up too. So we're kind of in the middle of working on getting both done.
When you say opened up, do you mean widened so that
Yes,
two-car
widen
traffic?
so that it can be two-way, yes.
And again, on the back end of this, I mean, we're more than happy to, if you guys are having, the road commissioner are good guys. I'm sure they're easy to work with, but if anything ever happens, let us know, cause we know
Okay.
them, we can help coordinate.
Okay, be great.
And you guys are already operating a daycare there, right?
Correct, yes.
Yeah.
I am already full with 6 kids, yep.
Okay.
I have a family right now that is enrolled and they have twins, so it's 2 kids in one vehicle that come and go, And then, my wait list, I have another couple multiples, so, I do realize there will be a little bit more traffic. I feel like most people haven't really noticed that I've already been open for the last 6 months plus. So, and my parents, they're obviously parents, and I communicate with them, safety in our area as well. Make sure they're driving slow, make sure they're being careful. And so it's something that they're well aware of as well.
What times are people typically coming and going?
So currently, right now, anywhere between 6:30 and 7. And then I close, right now at 5:30.
One thing that's worth knowing too that I forgot to mention is that roads within Chandler Estates are all public roads. So it's not like some of our cul-de-sacs and subdivisions where it's private. If it's private, then there would be a little bit more of autonomy and there would have to be legally more buy-in. In this case, the roads are maintained by the public, so.
I guess one question I have is if a drive is opened on Chandler, that would preclude the need to expand the other entrance, correct?
So the way that I've understood from the road commission is that once we, put in the one from Chandler, we are no longer able to use the one off of our, road. They would make us block that. They said we could use it as like a trail for us, like our own, but as far as we can only have one set driveway
So
to
your
and from our house.
Address would change, right?
Okay.
It would. and
Honestly,
it-
I haven't gotten that far as that.
When you go through the, driveway permitting process, then equalization they send it to equalization, they get a copy, and then that goes to the post office and
Okay,
911.
which I mean would make sense, cause then obviously we would be, Chandler.
It seems like the cheaper option is to just go straight to the entrance on Chandler rather than upgrade the current driveway and
Right,
also
right.
do the,
Well, we were doing that right now as temporary because the fire department had asked for an easier access to the home if something were to happen. And so, I mean, like I said, we are working towards doing the actual, driveway off of Chandler, but just for now too, so that way it's a little bit easier for everybody, cause that was one of their recommendations right now.
Sure.
Did they have that recommendation even though you're pursuing a driveway on Chandler?
I don't know if they knew.
Yeah, you might ask them that. If you're gonna do a driveway on Chandler, I don't know why they'd make you.
Right, I'm not sure if that was, cause that was something Miles, right?
Yeah, I talked to Roger Dunham about it, and, obviously put some stuff in writing, but basically their whole thing is they just want access, so
Yeah.
it obviously expanded is one thing you mentioned. I think they were worried about limbs too, at the end of the day though, they're gonna get down there if they need to. If they flip it on Chandler though, I mean, no concerns at all. But in the meantime, they were just like, hey, just clip, in the meantime, clip the limbs back,
Right.
Yeah,
so.
Would you have concerns if there was approval for this contingent upon creating the drive off of Chandler?
I mean, if that's something that would have to be done, the way that I understood, there can't be a non-approval as long as I have all of the stuff done as far as the planning. I guess Miles can.
Yeah, that's kinda my understanding too, like, I would feel comfortable with recommending that action and helping her work through that action. I would have to check in with legal counsel if we were gonna require that, because there becomes a financial barrier to entry where they're meeting zoning, and if you request too much, like from a financial perspective for the applicant, it could be viewed as.
I guess I'm confused as to, it appears as if, are they just recommendations that there is the drive off of Chandler, or is there movement towards requiring the change?
Well, I would like to keep it in my recommendation to you guys is to keep it in the realm of a recommendation. Putting it in the realm of a requirement, to me, feels like, I mean, it's real dollars that it would cost to do it, and they're currently able to meet zoning. So, you're getting outside of the nexus of what the current zoning is. And that's really the conditions need to lie within the nexus of our zoning on the books. All that being said though, I think everyone can see that the drive there would be preferred, not only from the zoning perspective and the traffic perspective, but from their own operational perspective.
And if it were a private road, it would be a different situation.
You know, a private road would be a totally different
It's a
situation.
public road,
They have access onto a public road.
different.
But we have a fire department recommendation, we have public here who's expressing concerns, we have a road commission that has spoke to this.
Yeah, the road commission's fine. Fire just wants access to be maintained, so trim limbs back, make sure they can get their truck down there. I hear the concerns. I also fortunately or unfortunately have to operate within the state's guidance that they put out, and by guidance, I mean the law they passed.
Does anybody have any more, questions for the applicant right now?
I just wonder, is your address Chandler Road or is your address, okay, so you're on Lapham?
If you, go ahead, if you'd step down, then we can have opportunity
you.
for others to step up. Thank you. Is there any
Move to
others that would like,
Sorry.
is there any others that'd like to step up to the, any other comments at this time? So you can kinda see probably where the commission's kinda headed with this.
Well, I guess I would just ask, have you noticed that the traffic volume has already increased?
So, my understanding, so I work during the day. My hours are from 8 to 4:30. And I do see a little bit, the problem also is the bus in the morning, because it does come in at 7. How they have it going now is so we live off at a dead end kind of. So the bus actually pulls in front of our drive, picks up their children, and I don't know, children that are at the bus stop, and then she backs out around. She's already knocked our mailbox off once, which we have not replaced. So she ran into our mailbox, knocked it down. So I mean, it's just heaven. I have to wait for the bus to leave in order for me to leave, because I do leave at 7.
Right, that sounds like maybe something could try and work out with the bus garage. You probably should work out with the
Right,
bus garage if they
right.
took
Well,
your mailbox
When my
out.
daughter was in school, they did not allow her to pull down like that, so I'm
Okay,
surprised
so
that
maybe
they're
that's
doing
a
that
change
now.
that the school needs to, I mean, because even if it were like a family that had 6 kids of their own, then the bus would have to pick them up, do whatever.
Right. They used to
no
make it go
matter.
around the subdivision, but I don't know what's changed where she just
Yeah.
pulls down in front of our drive and backs out now.
Right,
Could be they don't even know what's going on.
right, yeah, exactly. So that sounds like maybe something that
You can make a phone
falls
call.
in, I mean, that's not anything that we can control here.
Right,
On the
right.
planning commission is where they put their bus route, or turnaround. But I don't know, maybe there just aren't any other kids living in Chandler Estates that ride the bus right now, so they don't
I don't know if it's at
go
that
all
time
the way
or
around,
not.
I don't know. But that also changes year to year too.
Right. But that's pretty much what I have right now. That's our concerns. So, yeah.
If I could say something, my concern is, like,
Thank you.
my name is Margarita Lira, and I own the house there in corner of Lapham and Hammersley. One of my concerns is, because our driveway does, I don't know how to describe it, but we're a little bit across from where this would be our drive and this would be theirs. And then over here is the dead end road. Personally, which has nothing to really do, but for me personally, I've been almost 50 years backing out of my drive without worrying about anybody being behind me, other than my neighbor who's been there longer than I have, behind me. But my concern is that people missing their drive, turning in my drive, turning into the drive that goes to our pole barn. Because, again, I have a dog, and the dog will go crazy if people are pulling in and out of the drive. And I guess that's not a concern as far as that, but that's my concern, is that people pulling in and out using my drives, because they miss the dirt drive,
Okay.
which you really can't. Unless you're really looking for a dirt drive, it's just so grown up around it that.
Right. We had talked to them last time about a sign, they obviously don't have a sign now. How would you feel if they put up a
I
sign?
would not like it.
Which, they would find the right driveway, so, I mean, it's kinda, you know,
But then it
one for
looks more
another.
commercial. You know, this is
Right.
like I said, I've been there almost 50 years. And it's just a quiet neighborhood. And like my daughter said, people walk all the time. I have a great-grandson now who plays basketball in our drives. He's 4, believe it or not, he does. But my concern is cars pulling in and out of the drive to turn around. So that's my biggest concern. Plus, I really don't want it to be commercial, so to speak.
Well, the sign would be a good short-term fix, but they're just gonna flip the drive to the other
Right,
road.
yeah,
It's like-
exactly.
Or,
Yeah.
or good.
I would think missing the driveway would be a once in a while thing, if it's the same parents coming and going every day, once they figure that out. That happens at my house too, I'll see people slow down, and then they come back as they missed our driveway
Well,
pretty frequently, but I would
get
think that would be a
but
once in a while
Having
thing.
grandchildren and having a great-grandson now who have gone to daycare, it's not always the same people who pick them up. You know, on my great-grandson, there's like 5 people on the list to pick him up if there's an emergency. So it's not just always mom and dad who pick up the kids, or grandma and grandpa, or whoever.
Right.
It can vary to aunts, uncles, whoever, neighbor.
But once they know, they'll know too. Right,
So those are my concerns, basically.
and the road commission looks at it too, you know, they take all that stuff into consideration. Now, the bus thing, you'd probably have to address that separately yourself, and probably should at this point, but, you know, if they might not even know that that's what's going on. I mean, I imagine they do, but, yeah. Maybe some
There
better
should be-
signage, no,
Should
maybe
be
not
an
even
easy
signs.
request.
Yeah, or some good lettering, I don't know, I don't remember what the address was there, if you could read that readily, but I imagine, do you have one of the, green address signs on your box?
I actually, so we have like one that stakes into the ground.
Yep, okay.
That lights up, that has our
Okay,
address.
Okay. If you ever want one of those green ones for anybody, if you ever want one
Yes.
of those green ones, the fire department gives them
Oh,
out for free.
awesome.
It helps them locate when they're,
Right, right, and that's
In
one
an
thing we
emergency.
always, you know, obviously a long dirt driveway, so.
Right.
You know, we have one that, I mean, we need a new one because our plow took it out, but there is one there, and it is currently.
I just couldn't remember when I went by there. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Move to close the public hearing.
What?
Jason moved the public hearing closed, and Ray supported. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign?
Move to postpone the decision that, on this until Miles can get feedback from legal on whether or not we can impose a condition upon the special use permit.
There's a motion on the floor. Looking for support.
Support.
Ray supported to postpone. The motion was to postpone the meeting until Miles could get with legal counsel on,
Whether or not we can impose a condition on the special use permits. The condition I'm thinking is of requiring the ingress egress off of Chandler.
okay,
So to be in place prior to the approval?
Correct.
the
Well,
condition or is that what you're saying?
The drive in place prior to the approval?
approval of the, whatever you guys approve.
Do we not trust his
Could we,
interpretation of the zoning rules at this point?
He's already expressed concern about needing legal approval for issuing a condition upon a special use permit.
A condition around the special use permit, this land use type.
yes.
Any other special use permit, I'd say go for it, but with this one, there are restrictions.
the other
Because of
thing
the
is,
daycare.
if we're gonna do that, could we have a condition that says you have to have this driveway you can open up now, but you've gotta have the driveway installed within 6 months or whatever time period you wanna give them. And if it's not,
The problem is
that's
that,
a problem. Then you have to shut them down.
the problem is we put those conditions on preliminary approval and then administration makes decisions that counter that.
Yeah.
Well, it's always hard when, if you put any kind of condition and operations are taking place to then claw back. That's always a tough spot to get put in, so I wouldn't ever I wouldn't recommend, for the same reason Jason's saying, but, yeah.
It sounds like there's pretty clear issues with not the proposed use. It's the road off of which the current driveway is off of. If buses are knocking over mailboxes and there's issues of signage, all this kind of stuff, it sounds like the cleanest thing, not only for the neighbors, but also the clients, is to have a simple, clear ingress egress off of Chandler.
I get what you're saying, but I don't see how the bus issue is relevant to what we're trying to decide here. I totally get that would be absolutely frustrating and annoying, but I don't understand how that factor that we have zero control over is becoming the determining factor for adding this extra condition.
And we have zero,
Or trying to
I guess-
require this extra condition, which I don't really think we can require legally.
I mean, what are the conditions that relate, that lead to a bus running over a mailbox? Is it just?
I think it's operator error, honestly, at
Is
that
it?
point, or they're trying to avoid going all the way through Chandler Estates, and so they're just backing up and turning around, going in, and then coming back out. But it could very well be that other kids in the subdivision are gonna be riding the bus and they have to go around anyway as it is, perhaps next year. Or they just maybe need to do that because turning around and taking out people's mailboxes, there just isn't enough room to do that effectively, especially like when snow's piled up in the wintertime and they don't have as much, area to move around in, but it seems
Never had a
like,
bus run over my mailbox.
Some of the other things they talked about too were kind of like not, their concerns, but I don't know how we can control somebody, you know, backing over a kid or, you know what I'm saying?
And I guess from my standpoint, I wouldn't be saying we're doing it because of the bus, I'd say because of the traffic. The reason to move this access off Chandler Road is to get the traffic off the residential subdivision. To heck with the bus. You know, the bus, you're right, the bus drivers got to learn how to turn right, if they're gonna continue that. The other question is, if they have access off Chandler Road, will the school decide to not go in there anymore and just pick everybody up off Chandler Road? We don't know that, but it's a possibility.
Is there any more discussion? Hearing none, I guess we'll do a roll call vote, Miles?
Okay.
Clarify the vote.
Yeah, so
The motion is to postpone the vote on this until Miles can clarify from general counsel on whether or not we can put a condition on a special use permit.
can I say one more thing, George?
Pardon?
Can I add something?
Yes.
I guess I didn't hear that, other than the bus, that traffic on that road due to the daycare was a concern. I mean,
Was
there's
for
probably
them.
how many houses in that subdivision? 50, 60,
I don't know if it's 60, but
50
yeah,
maybe?
maybe.
And that is the main entrance
Might be
road.
like 30.
So I'm just having a hard time imagining that 6 more cars in a day, twice a day, is gonna be a significant increase in traffic volume to warrant prohibiting daycare access to those 6 families that much longer.
So you
That's,
completely didn't hear the two voters?
I did, and I asked them some questions, and the only thing they said was the bus. That's what they said. I said, what
Okay.
is, have
I
you
heard
noticed traffic increase?
Grandkids and,
And you said just the bus backing up, which I agree would be
It was-
super
yes,
annoying.
It is, well, that's not even really, that is a concern. But the other is
I'm gonna-
safety.
I'm gonna have-
I mean,
I'm gonna have to stop you for just a second, cause, we don't have an open meeting right now. So, we'll finish our discussion, but I think most of us heard what you're gonna say, I hope. So, I'm sorry about that. Back to your comment. Your refrain.
Yeah, that was all I was saying, is that, yeah, in a subdivision that size, is 6 more cars a day gonna be that big of a burden? For a condition that I personally don't think it sounds like legally we can add. If it were a private road, if it were a different situation, do I think that having the driveway on Chandler makes the most sense? Absolutely I do, and I was really happy to hear at the last meeting that they were in the process of trying to make that happen. But do I think we can require it legally? Doesn't sound like it.
well, so, one, we're not talking about the entrance to a subdivision, we're talking about the ends of the cul-de-sac, right? The other is, of course we could, this is a special use permit. Of course we could have, conditions applied to it, that's the nature of a special use permit.
Not, just to, I have it from Chris Patterson, our head legal counsel, has said, Laura and the state have passed unique law, unique to this land use. And that's why even the phrasing of the condition, if I took it verbatim and gave it to Chris, it's not even the right question to ask, Chris. You're asking, can you, because the question that's being asked is, can you stipulate a condition on a special use permit? The answer to that question is yes. This is a unique special land use permit
For a special use
associated to a group home daycare where the state has said, we are in a crisis. This land use is being restricted by local municipalities to the point where it is pricing out people. And therefore, municipalities have become overzealous with, just like mobile home parks in the seventies, not allowing them anywhere for whatever reason they can come up with. I'm not saying that's happening in this case, I think these are reasonable concerns. But they've said, enough's enough, we're putting special conditions in place, go outside of these, and it's a problem.
But the thing is we're saying yes with a condition that is specific to the nature of that particular development.
It's
No
they
lawyer is
currently-
gonna say no to
They
this.
currently meet zoning off of a public road.
If it were more than 12,
But it's a
it would be
special
a
use
different
permit.
story, right?
A special use permit that's restricted on the conditions that can be placed on this type of land use.
And this is
Similar-
why I wanted to move this to a postponement, not a motion with, because I knew that this would be your move.
I
To
don't
throw a
have
bunch of
any-
barriers in place.
I don't have any move. It's similar to utility size solar, right? That's unique land use with unique restrictions now. Because the state of Michigan has deemed so. There's like 12 acts right now in process going to the state that could drastically change local zoning.
For solar, right?
All kinds of different land uses. They're
Yeah,
about to
and
restrict,
data centers,
they're
et
about to
cetera.
restrict minimum lot size for housing, which means we'll have to redo our entire zoning ordinance.
And we'll do that.
So the state does have the authority to call back, and they've done so in this case.
My concern is we get the opinion that we can, and then the road commission says no to the Chandler Road.
Have they, there was no indication of that, that the,
But that,
then, do you want me to rephrase my statement of conferring with both legal and the road commission?
The road commission's already commented on it.
Yeah. They're,
Which-
they're in a problem with it.
Yeah, either one, either entrance, right?
No.
okay.
Yeah, I think they allow the drive on either.
Yep, that's what they said. They said we could read.
I move we call the question,
Pardon me?
call the question, in other words, vote on this. End discussion and call the question.
Yeah.
Would you read that back, please? How's gonna, the vote?
Yeah, it sounds like the question that I heard was, can the planning commission place a condition on a special use permit?
Concerning the road, Jason,
It probably makes sense to ask that specifically.
specifically.
The placement of the drive ingress egress for the proposed use related to the special use permit.
That's better.
Does everyone understand that? Mark, you have one more
I
comment?
understand it. No, I'm good.
Okay, we're calling the vote to postpone.
Okay. Vice Chair Baker,
No.
Commissioner Crainer,
No,
Chair Reich is absent, Trustee Hagerman,
No,
Commissioner Severie,
No?
Commissioner Almaridge.
I
I can't not vote no.
you vote
I
however
made
you
the
want.
motion. Yes.
Okay, and Commissioner Coulter.
No.
Yeah.
No, just a comment, we finally did that right, where we had a motion on the floor before we discussed it. You have to have a motion on the floor before you start discussion. We don't always do that, but we need to do that.
That's because I jumped the gun and made the motion right off the bat.
No,
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 that wasn't it?
you should have made the motion, then, and if
Yeah,
I hadn't
that
seconded
way
it, it would have died right there.
And no
But I
good
seconded it,
conversation,
which left us the ability to discuss it.
yes.
which is great.
Yeah, so that's what we need to do.
Ray, the parliamentarian.
Yeah.
been in a meeting or two.
Now it's vote time.
Well, and someone has to make a motion. I would like to make one comment if I could, even though we're done talking about it. The road commission did comment on the traffic for that neighborhood, for that project.
Okay. I make a motion that we approve the special use permit with the conditions that were placed here.
You'd be making a recommendation to the board
Recommendation.
to approve.
Yeah.
To recommendation to the board to approve.
Commissioner Crainer made a motion. Is there a second for that?
Second,
Ray Savory. Second? Savory? Roll call vote, I guess?
You wanna do a roll call vote? Okay. Chair Baker,
Yes?
Commissioner Crainer,
Yes.
again, Chair Reich is absent, Trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Severie,
yes.
Commissioner Almarigi,
Yes.
and Commissioner Coulter.
Yes.
Alright, the yeses have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for all those that
Thank you, everybody.
participated.
Sorry, George, my bad.
No. Well, thank you for all those that participated. Hopefully that you'll take all these comments into consideration, for the future for those things. And certainly appreciate you being here tonight.
I'll get with you guys to, obviously welcome to stay, but, if you have to go, I'll get with you guys about the schedule for the board. It's our goal to get this information turned around to the deputy superintendent by Thursday so they can be in the packet for, Monday's meeting. I believe that's the 18th.
Okay.
And their meetings are same time, 6 o'clock this room.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Giffords Webster Future Land Use Map Presentation, Draft and Comprehensive Chapters.
Chair, would you be, or Vice Chair Baker, would you be amenable to a 5-minute recess while we, get set up here?
Can I hear a motion for a 5-minute recess?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed?
No.
One opposition.
I will be checking the minutes for that. Please don't.
Did you get, who seconded that? Was Hagerman?
I've got it all.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
Got it.
Thank you, guys.
I thoroughly enjoyed that.
What?
I thoroughly enjoyed that. I thought that was a great.
part?
That was a great discussion. It really was.
I know, Mark, it was great.
I'm not the parliamentarian.
Correct.
My wife was involved nationally with a sorority, and then she became the president of the Michigan School Council Association. And when she did that, like, everything was done. In fact, there, if you wanna make a motion, you had to write it down.
Yeah,
It had to be a written motion. You couldn't do a verbal motion, it had to be written.
yeah.
So, I got that drilled into me.
So Rosecrans are, one of the township trustees, former, Future Farmers
Keeps it,
of America.
less than boring.
Judge, parliamentarian,
So he knew what he was doing.
yeah.
Yeah, it,
On the other hand, too, you know, it'd be
it
nice
takes
to see
classes
that.
in college because it's
State
Yeah,
it just,
it'd be nice.
Like,
Right
when
when
we
you
open
get it
the
on the
meetings,
board.
we actually have to do
why
it
we
here.
can't do it.
And it's gotta be noted in the minutes,
I'm sure he could.
even though the meeting, you would have
Type
that,
it
but
in.
you have to have it in the special. It's kind of- But yeah, motion has to be on the floor.
I sympathize with them totally,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
But they have daycares open. I mean, on our road where I grew up, they had a daycare. There's cars coming in and out of there all day, you know? And if they're not looking for traffic when they back out, it's not the daycare's fault.
I agree.
It's kinda, it's hard.
all
True, but I
just
don't,
life.
yeah, I mean, there are things that are annoying, but I don't think there's anything that we can do about it. And the way that the house is constructed, it looks like it should have a driveway off Chandler Road, which just makes more sense.
Interesting, my wife had a
It's
conference in
weird.
Kentucky,
Yeah.
moved to Kentucky.
Would be a drag if we were dress change though.
Yeah, that's true.
She was a school counselor.
People move all
It's
the
like you
time.
moved?
She had one down there.
Where'd you
so
move
Moved
to?
our driveway.
That's the,
Look
Derby,
this way.
We were there the weekend before, but everything, that's why I went down.
My
looked-
concern
looked at
is
the
with
police.
new
And
developments
they
and
have
stuff.
6-foot high fences on both sides of the road
You know, like, where they hit,
on that place.
and it's just,
You know,
I agree, I mean, this time of year, 6:30 in the morning and
So I
5
managed
at
to park on
night,
the street to walk in
it's
and
not
go to
an
the
issue,
museum, stuff like
just
that.
in the winter.
It was the first day accident.
you know,
But at the same
Because they
time,
race
if,
every day
you know,
before that.
when you have a family that has teenagers,
What did-
all of a
what
sudden
did
there's
you
a
charge
dozen
if you
cars
park in
going
the
in
front
and out of the
yard?
driveway all the time
Today,
anyway,
so
like,
really,
that's
it's only
just
$85.
something that
It's
you
$125.
It's annoying, right? It's annoying and you can have a good relationship
In
with
fact, I
your
don't think it
neighbors
costs
and
that much
ask
to go to,
nicely,
go to the Derby.
but
It
at
costs
the
more
end
to
of the
park there,
day,
just the ticket to
I
get in.
don't, I also don't wanna give the opinion that we have more power on things than we do in some situations, because then people get real mad when it doesn't go that way, when it's really something that's out of our hands.
Game day.
I know sometimes I ask questions, not because I don't know,
They have
because I want the
live
public
oaks
to hear
on
Miles
campus.
say something.
Yeah.
People
Some
would
of
drive
us-
up
Yeah,
on the
that's
roofs
smart.
and so forth, and they were carrying oaks.
Thing is, you can ask to
And
require
then backing the
anything,
fences up, and you
anybody
either
could
park in a
argue
parking
that,
space
but it
on the
doesn't
street
mean
or
that
else.
it's legal to ask it either.
The
So,
grass,
Right.
you wouldn't be
require
there when you
things that are
came back.
crazy, doesn't make any sense to do that, but you could do that and hold things up, you know?
Right, I'm sure it happens all the
It
time.
happens all the time.
Is it just worth the money that we would spend to answer that question?
It's more, yeah.
I didn't get what you said.
Is it worth the money that we would spend to answer the
drove down to
question?
Kentucky, but then we got back Monday,
$5
next Friday, we flew to
Right,
back
or
to
he's
the-
gotta type up a whole opinion and send it out, that's at least what, 3 hours, I don't know.
Memorandum, yeah.
That's like $500
Probably
right
be
there.
$5, yeah.
And to fly from Lansing to Tallahassee is not an easy trip.
Where's the legs at?
You go to Detroit, from Lansing to Detroit, then to Atlanta, and then to Tallahassee. Yeah.
About ready, Miles? Yeah, sorry. No, we're getting close to our 5. Yeah. But who's counting?
Yeah, no, you guys, yeah, so my bad.
Somebody has.
Motion to reopen the meeting? Hearing none?
Can we just move to adjourn?
Sorry. Sorry, got ahead of myself. Is there a motion to?
Reopen, so move. Reopen the meeting.
Thank you, Ray. Do I hear support?
yes.
Mark? Thank you, Mark. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, like sign?
No. What is the like sign for, is it a nay?
Nay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. We're on, item number 7, B, future land use map. Miles, do you wanna kick it off? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll probably kick it right to the consultants. They included a memorandum in you guys' packet. There's a bunch of material, some updated from the plan, some new maps they've got. They brought a bunch of materials to share, so.
Will you introduce them, please?
Yeah, this is Rose, she's with Gifford Webster, and, Joe with, Gifford Webster.
Thank you. Thank you, Rose.
All right, good evening. Good to be back with you again. We don't have, like a formal presentation prepared. We just wanted to kind of get your sense of the direction of this draft future land use map being the foremost item today, and then just any other questions or comments that you have about the process, just to kind of introduce this draft future land use map. One key thing to note here is that we do have the parcel lines included in this draft map. But, you know, generally, it is best planning practice to not include those parcel lines, just to allow for a little bit more flexibility around the boundaries, and, you know, not be so beholden to them. But we did include them just so that it's helpful for you to kind of navigate and see where things are, and this will especially come into play in that kind of proposed vision for Drumheller Road, west of Webster, because the boundary that we kind of set there is just a straight line and doesn't currently follow parcel lines.
Can I interrupt for just 1 second?
Yes.
Miles, would you explain the 4 maps again for me?
Oh, yeah. Me and the vice chair were talking earlier today about, you know, what you guys include in the packet, and just it can get confusing sometimes. There's really,
Sure.
there's really 4 maps that in my mind are kind of in play right now. 2 that are currently approved. We have our currently adopted zoning map, and we have our currently adopted future land use map. Not to be confused with the modified zoning map that we've been discussing about what districts to change, and that's more of an action item, I think, at this point, that we're looking to do after the adoption of this plan. And then what's sitting in front of, this body right now, both on the TV screens and on the easel here, is kind of a proposed future land use map.
Is that what says map number 2 in our packet? Yeah, okay.
Yes, so that map
Ma-
2.
Map number, oh, I'm sorry, map number 2 is the currently adopted future land use map. What, Rose is talking about on the easel on the TV is the proposed future land use. And remember, future land use maps play a really important role when developers are looking at rezoning a large swath of area, or even a private individual looking to rezone something. And just thinking about like how the kind of the future, future land use maps are a signal to the development community of like, hey, here's the intent of where we're going with this thing.
So this isn't in our packet?
This one that I have up is not in your packet. It just got emailed, after the packets went out on Thursday.
Okay.
It is. Thank you. Sorry, we printed some out.
I have a clarifying question. So you, if I heard you correctly, you said that you added the parcel lines in parts to complicate the rezoning of the Drumheller corridor?
Sorry, could you repeat the question?
Yeah, sorry, if I heard you correctly, it sounded like you added the parcel lines to this map, which is a non-standard practice, to complicate the discussion around the Drumheller corridor rezoning
Oh,
of the future land use map.
okay, so we generally do sometimes have the parcel lines if, just for the commission to kind of see and visualize the different areas. And so, but the final future land use map.
I'm asking
not
about
yet.
why you added these for this particular map. You had made a statement about Drumheller.
Yeah, as
Oh,
a point of reference, one thing that you will see if you follow the line for the new category from Drumheller, it does not necessarily follow the parcel line. It's a straight line and it goes through somewhere.
Right, and isn't that the same case north of Slate Road?
Yes.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Sorry, I'm sitting on these things.
I guess
think
just
that-
to spark some conversation, one of the things we were talking about just briefly on the break in EMS and we're discussing earlier today on our look at this is, You know, we talked, the planning commission talked about previously, you know, there's been this disconnect between the districts that are on you guys' currently adopted zoning map and what is on you guys' currently adopted future land use map. There's a lot of districts on the currently adopted future land use map that don't necessarily correspond to anything that's in reference in the ordinance. I'm not even 100% totally clear on where some of that was derived from, because I think the currently adopted future land use map like far precedes me, and the earliest version of it I found was like from like 2003, so it's been out there for a while. I think there's been some conversations and maybe some efforts made to start consolidating some of those future land use districts to make them closer to what is currently adopted via zoning. So with that being, all that context, you can see down on the Saginaw, highway area, Business 69, whatever you wanna call it, the community commercial and, kind of that HDI area, the Meadowbrook West is even another district. We were discussing just now and earlier today, maybe making that kind of all the, I forget, what even color is that, like? Yeah, the development tab, that kind of peach color. I don't know, again, I'm sorry, this is you guys are totally in the driver's seat, whatever this body wants is how this is gonna go, but I'm just trying to spark some discussion.
So the current land use map, to be differentiated from the proposed future land use map, am I correct to assume that the current land use map is based on current zoning districts? It's not.
Yeah, the currently adopted future land use map doesn't correspond very closely to what you have in zoning.
Yeah,
I guess what I'm asking is that the color coordination on the current land use map aligns to zoning districts that are within our zoning ordinance. So things like community commercial, right, that's not a zoning district within our,
That's
right?
correct, yeah.
So are we proposing a future land use map that has color-coded districts that don't align to our current zoning districts?
I mean, there are some departures, and what Miles was discussing is whether or not some of those colors that are on the future land use map that don't correspond directly to zoning districts should be consolidated into the development future land use category. Because there's a mixed use and a community commercial
Yeah.
on the proposed future land use map that would be essentially part of the development district under the way your current zoning is written. So we just want that all to be one category the way it is in your zoning. It's been broken out for a long time. This carries some of that breakout forward, but it also moves closer to the direction of the zoning ordinance. It's more a matter of, do we want to go all the way to your zoning ordinance in terms of the number of categories that we have?
And Joe, just so like where everyone has the full options, cause I'm not even 100%. So I guess the only two options I would see on the table is, I mean, you can do whatever you want, it doesn't, but the only two options that I would feasibly see on the table would either be to consolidate these districts like we were just talking about into what is currently in our code of ordinance, or would there be like a recommended action item as a part of this plan to like build out our zoning ordinance to reflect those future districts to come online?
You could potentially do that. Right now, what you have is a development district that's quite flexible in terms of uses that it permits. And this, I think the community commercial in particular would be a much narrower designation than what you have in the development district right now.
Could you give me some examples of what would typically fall into community commercial? Like that area now, it has like a gym,
It's essentially what's there
basketball
right
court.
now.
Could you point that out on the
Okay.
map?
Yeah, I can pull up a
So
fetch.
it's like right over by A and D.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, that language doesn't exist, so like one of our follow-up action items, if this was adopted, like, I mean, again, if you guys can do whatever you want here, but I guess my recommendation would be like, hey, let's include an action item to like build out that district, so when somebody goes for that zoning amendment, there's a district to plug it into. Cause right now, like, that's always been my concern when I first got hired here, I looked at the future land use map, and I was like, what is this?
So I guess one question I have is, last time you were here, when all of us were around the tables drawing on the map per the request of us, there's a lot of discussion, and, you know, I'll just lay on the table that, you know, I was an advocate for dividing the rural district into two separate rural districts. So we don't see that on this map, but we do see something that we never discussed, which is like the community commercial, community facilities. So I'm just confused as to, I mean, what is the process here? I mean, we provided feedback. It doesn't seem like that's represented here. What's represented here is other thinking.
Well, so, just to reiterate, the community commercial and community facilities were relics, from the previous comprehensive plan.
Those are not on our current future land use map, and they're not a part of our zoning ordinance.
No,
They're
so,
on your current future
they're on
land use
your,
map.
Is that,
but not the zoning.
It's right here.
Can I
Is that
can I clarify something? Our future land use map is map number 2, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, no, they're on, like, that's what's always been confusing. There are districts on the currently adopted 2021 future land use map that don't exist in the zoning ordinance. It's
Which is map number 2.
map number 2. It's unique. I've seen communities have this before, but it's not common in my experience.
So, wait, so this is, if you go to the township website,
Yes.
weirdly, I mean, this is unfamiliar with me. I mean, all due respect, I mean, I apologize for making accusations
No,
that
but now
were
we
not
know where they
warranted.
got, now we know where they got it from. They got it from here.
And essentially, the question before you is, do we want to complete that consolidation into the development district of those, of that mixed use and community commercial category that you see up there? Because really, that would be going all the way toward corresponding to your zoning ordinance. The community commercial, the uses that would be implied by community commercial and the uses that are implied by mixed use are all included in the development district. So
So that,
they would fit in the umbrella.
that darker blue right now that we're talking, the community commercial, is that not already zoned development?
It is.
It is.
High density,
So you're
Just,
just
no,
saying
just development.
just deed development.
Yep.
simplify by reducing the number of labels and having the two maps line up better.
Correct.
That seems like a good idea.
That's, yep, that would
Which would
be,
alleviate some of the confusion
Yeah.
that we just went through.
I agree.
that would be one option. And just to give you guys options, cause I don't want people to feel like you're being pushed in any direction. The other option would be build out said district, so when somebody comes in with a rezoning request, there's a district to plug it into. Obviously, that's more work and you can justify, you can make an argument whether that's justified or not.
That would be after this.
It'd be an action item as a part of this plan.
So having more districts is basically more limits on the types of things that can go there?
Yeah,
Without having to go through a lot of
That is
processes to change it.
That is another like high level, always planning conversation. The more districts you get, the more specific you get with those districts. But the more complicated the zoning ordinance comes and the harder it is for people to understand. The fewer districts you have, the easier it is to understand, but the less control you have over different areas where things go.
I feel like that corridor that we're talking about is already kind of the Wild West over there in terms of what's already been there. So it seems like it would be weird to then suddenly put much more stricter.
It's definitely a geography in
But-
there.
It seems
That's
like we
just
need
my
three
thought.
maps, right? We need a current future land use map. We need a
Which is map
proposed
number 2.
future land use map, and then we need what this seems to be an actual land use map, right?
Well, this is-
Then that would be
This
clear.
is a proposed,
But the proposed is based on
map number 2.
Map number 2 of the current,
Current,
right?
future, last year.
Which
But we-
isn't aligned to our zoning
But
districts.
that's why they're here, we can change that, we can take and draw lines and change that now. So we drew, remember we drew lines before, may I?
Please?
Will you look at these lines right here? Is that not what we drew in the last time? Do you see the penciled in?
The oval?
The penciled in, yeah, down by the, M78 and all that?
Yeah.
That- We circled that the last time.
Right.
To be all development.
That would,
This is
what it
the
is.
actual map we drew on the table right now.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
There you go.
so wouldn't you say that would be, want to be development? Or commercial?
I mean, yeah, I mean, we
Doesn't
take up
they have it
the
on here?
manufactured
Pink
home park
color.
zoning or
Well,
land use map, land use.
I think part of the reason
we
that
have to have, I think,
mixed
before
use and community commercial did not get merged into development is that they're not marked on this map.
okay.
So they weren't
That
brought
might be
into development on this
They could
marked up map. So we left them for now, but the
Commercial?
discussion is, should they be brought?
It could be development. Wait, that's what you
They
guys are,
could commercial use it though.
yeah, commercial could use it. I mean, that's what you guys get to discuss tonight.
Yeah.
And again,
Did you see it, right?
Oh, I know what we did last time, yeah.
yeah, and
It's shown on this map.
well, and again, I wanna say too, I mean, this is a process, there's some back and forth that are gonna go in here, this is why we're doing 2 meetings a month through the summer. We'll try to take whatever comments or thoughts we hear tonight, and we'll work with the consultants to bring this back before the next meeting to make sure we're on the right track.
I think my confusion, when I read the document that you sent to us, I didn't realize this is based on what we've got now, this Township Activity Center. Why do we need that? Well, it's not here anymore, so that's good. That was just in the verbiage that you had.
I would support alignment between the maps and fewer
Districts.
districts.
Yeah, well, it's good actionable information,
Do you wanna see that?
just
Is
for,
it the same we drew over there?
Kind of.
just for our purposes, because, you know, we're gonna be opening up Fetch GIS and making changes and whatnot, is there any opposition to that? And we can always give it our best shot and make sure we come back and see if we're moving in the right direction, but, or is there any parcels in particular that you're seeing where we'll go to a line and you're like, no, a line, yes, but not that parcel?
What about up in, the red up there, the high density development?
Yeah, that we had talked about, but it looks the same.
That I think we talked about, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think we talked about down zoning a lot of that to high density residential, other than the areas that are currently commercialized, which me and Madison worked on and this is part of that 4 maps dilemma, on the proposed current zoning. But for the proposed future land use, I believe, if I remember correctly, 4 maps dilemma, we talked about keeping it a wider district, so like if development over the next 20 years, cause remember, it's a 20-year plan, does start to creep out of what is commercial right now, they have the room to creep.
Into the downtown area?
Yeah, like, let's say right now on the proposed current zoning, the conversation I believe we had was to keep a lot of the parcels touching Webster Road that are commercial, D-development, or HDD. And then the parcels that are more like, if you look at my mouse over here, down zoning those to like high-density residential, so like, hardware stores and a by right use anymore.
So I can't.
But on the future land use map, keeping them HDD, so if, 15 years from now, Main Street is now commercialized and they need to buy something on Vine so they can expand their business, they can at least make the attempt to request a rezoning. Is that reflective of what, and makes sense?
Yes, so you're saying we'll change it is in our new current, but leave it for the potential future.
for the potential future. It's confusing.
It is confusing.
And to Commissioner Almaridge's point, yeah, it's almost like, and it makes sense in my like GIS brain, cause I'm layering all this information. But yeah, it's almost like you need like 5 computers
So
open
the
at once.
understanding of development, use and development right now versus use and development in the future.
Yeah, and it's hard because we're working with 2 sets of maps that are currently adopted, and then we're tonight talking about 2 sets of maps of making changes to.
But they would replace,
They will replace. One will replace it, the future one we're talking about tonight will replace it as a part of the plan's adoption. And the other one will be like top action item, like you guys adopt plan or the board adopts the plan, let's say in November of 26. December meeting, you're getting a zoning map at the planning commission. Hey, what do you guys think?
So once we have our future land use map, then we can change our current map.
okay.
Yeah. So more actionable info, cause like, I have to work with Rose, we have to make changes to a map over the next week and a half. Other actionable items for either the proposed current zoning or proposed future that we're seeing that we should change or reflect, or things we like, things we don't like.
So my understanding that we're wanting to change that area where your cursor is now, your mouse is now, and up to the northeast more, all development?
Yeah, this is already all de-development, and one thing that might make this easier is making the colors between the 2 maps like closer too, cause like, whenever I think about de-development, I think about like, light blue, cause that's what, you know, and then we go to the future land use map and now it's peach, you know, it's just like, but that's kind of aesthetics. But yeah,
Makes it harder to follow.
one thing that, again, trying to point out stuff just to spark conversation, the whole HDI development is on the future, looks like it's zone medium. I guess, recommendation would be to either keep that de-development or at the very least, high-density residential, because that would have a grandfathering effect on almost every property there. Like, it'd be like no more decks for anybody if that zoning change was made.
Why do we say de-development, not just development district?
It's something I do, it's just me.
We don't say our
Because
rule.
we have
It's just-
D as the symbol for the district, and development is the name of the district.
And
But we
that's
don't do
a,
the same for rural, right?
I know,
Our
it's
rural.
our rule, it's a bad habit of mine.
It's the M medium district.
I do that a lot in other communities I've worked in.
It's not just, we all do it.
But no, yeah, I mean, yeah, it's development, it's rural.
So what are you needing from us right now?
Is there anything, it sounds like we are kinda on the same page, Joe, you brought up a good point when we were discussing, I think this parcel, on the future, it's community facilities,
Right.
it's a church.
Yeah. Well, the one where, the storage thing is, right there,
Yeah.
that right, not that, the white one, the white, move to the right a little more, the other side of the,
Here?
yeah.
Oh, yeah, why is that way right
Why is that
there?
rural? Yeah, why is
I don't know, that's random, yeah, we gotta fix
Isn't
that.
that MDOT land?
No,
anymore?
that's,
No, that's the
that's actually-
storage facility.
Oh,
Well, it's actually the storage facility is this
Yeah.
parcel, but this parcel is the coffee shop, marijuana place and all that, so we gotta fix that one.
Okay. That's not rural.
so like community facilities, that is the little one over there is a church. So does that mean that that it could only be a community facility? So like, let's say they wanted the church closed and they wanted to open up a brewery in there, like in DeWitt, does that mean that that's not allowed because it's a community facility?
So I would say it's poorly defined on the map. So this is one of the questions that I wanted to ask about all of these community facilities. Now, your school isn't going anywhere anytime soon, but I think it's more useful from a future land use map perspective to have a designation on each of these properties that's currently community facilities that would say something about what could happen to the property if that community facility was no longer there. So if this church were to close, if the school were to move to another property or something, what happens with these parcels? What are you okay with happening on those parcels? So you're probably gonna look at what's around it, the designations around them, and say, well, let's apply this to that and this to that. But it gives you guidance in the future if something changes on one of those properties, which community facilities as a category generally does not do.
What, Joe, from my understanding too, how does that like practically work? Is that like a addendum to the future land use map that's approved as part of the comp plan? Or is that like an action item to be built out into the ordinance?
It's just on your future land use map. You don't have to change the zoning of those things right now. It's really a matter of if something happens to that community facility and it changes, the use of that land is gonna change.
And that's in writing somewhere?
Yeah, then you've got it on your future land use map as, instead of community facilities, it's low density residential or medium density residential.
Okay.
And then you know, okay, when someone comes in asking to rezone that property for a different use.
It reverts to
here's
its
what we were
adjacent
thinking
zoning.
At the time.
Okay. As long as it says that somewhere and that's been what's common in your experience,
Yeah.
okay.
Because community facilities just, in my opinion, shouldn't be a category on a future land use map. It's not useful as a category for future land use planning. It's a community facility now, but it might not be forever. So what happens to it if it's no longer a community facility? And that's why you apply one of these other categories to all of those properties, so that you have some guidance in the future if something does change.
Okay.
Miles, could you explain the mobile home park things, like?
Yeah, that
why we
one.
need- Why we need those?
Well, it's similar, we talked a little bit about this earlier today, but mobile home parks, obviously, there's some, again, unique, state guidance around those. It's a use that you have to allow for somewhere within the municipality. Bath Township at one point had 3 of these, they currently have 2. As a part of the recommendation and with some of the legacy data in Bath Township, they're called out specifically. Now, the plan, I would feel, I guess, comfortable either way. Again, the 2 options I think stand for that district as well. Either we can, consolidate that into a currently existing district or, and reflect that on the proposed future land use map, or create an action item to define that within the ordinance.
Do you recall which zoning district permits them right now? Is it HDR?
It's HDR.
Okay, that's what I thought.
And then I believe it must be, unless it's changed, because the other one, Dutch Hills, exists within D development, I wanna say. I should know this off the top of my
medium?
head. It's definitely HDR, but yeah, the other one exists within development. Now, I don't know if that got grandfathered though, from that changing over time, cause this one had a pretty long history and build out that.
So if we have,
It's currently zoning looks to be.
Yeah, it's development, yeah.
So the 2 options are we change it to whatever its current zoning district is, or we consider creating a separate zoning district for mobile homes, mobile manufactured homes?
Yeah, you could.
and if you did, them are the only 2 you'd have.
Well, does that mean that that's all that could ever be there?
That would be true. I mean, it depends on the language you would establish in the district. You could even put a caveat, again, like if this goes out of business, the land use designation could change or be applied for to an adjacent.
You can leave the current zoning in place, certainly, and basically, if one of those mobile home parks were to close, if the one to the east were to close, then it would be the D development district would apply, and you could do whatever is permitted in that district, and then the other one, if that were to close, the HDR district would be the controlling set of regulations, so whatever's available in HDR is what you could do there.
Is there a value add from you guys' standpoint of calling these out on the future land use in this manner, or is it like just consolidate it?
I mean, they could certainly be consolidated. I wouldn't consolidate them into a category that wouldn't permit them in the zoning map, so if HDR is the only district that permits.
Then keep it
I
HDR.
would keep it HDR.
Okay, on the future, that's good input. What is the planning, just for us, cause,
But we have two mobile home parks, one is in development and the other is in HDR, right?
yeah,
So presumably both districts allow those?
I'm checking right now.
Yeah, check to see if development allows them, 'cause I don't recall whether it allows it, I know HDR does.
I would suggest that the one off of, what, M78 should be zone development, like the other one.
Cause I
And
know,
also
That's
the
what he
lake
said, was it was
dis-
That
development.
is, Dave.
Is that one development?
That's what that's what he just
It
said
is.
to me.
It's listed as.
but I don't know if development is a land use that permits them, I know HDR is.
So we have one.
And it's already zoned the way I want it. But even if it's not, it'd be grandfathered in, right?
Yeah, exactly, it's a non-conforming use if it's not permitted in D.
It's just kind of an interesting question, I wish I knew the answer to. There's a lot allowed in D.
There are state requirements that allow people to modify, their existing mobile homes and put a new mobile home in there, even if it is a non-conforming use, so. It's not, the fact that it would be a non-conforming use wouldn't be particularly restrictive on what you could do in an existing mobile home park.
Let's say the data center wanted to set up shop there and buy out all the mobile homes. They could, right? But we wouldn't, would we run into foul of state law for
No,
required
it would
mobile
be
home
a-
parks?
It would be a civil matter because it would be a property owner selling their property to another property owner.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't really be on the hook for it. It's just a matter of two private property owners making a deal with each other.
Unless we created a zoning district for mobile home parks, then a data center probably wouldn't be allowed there.
Most likely you wouldn't include it in the list of permitted uses.
I mean, maybe.
okay, so it actually looks like the opposite of what I said is the case, so in section 10.04, which is HDR, I'm not seeing that land use, but if I go to 6.04, permitted by a special, I am seeing mobile home park or subdivision, so it's permitted in D, it's not permitted in HDR. So on the future land use map, they should both be
So you
D,
can move to D then.
yeah.
Do we want to keep it by Park Lake?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because you put D by Park Lake,
Yeah,
you're opening yourself up to some stuff.
That whole southern tier of the lake that just isn't used, could be a park, but
So maybe there is value in, grandfathering the land use, but these are good points, this is good stuff to talk about. I mean, so what is the thought there, cause we have to draw up a map this week, so I'm fine with making I'm fine with you guys, whatever, but
You fine with keeping it?
I think it should be consolidated, that would be my recommendation, I think we're all on the same page with consolidating is a good thing. The Dutch Hills Park, go to D with that one, and then that will mirror the larger, all the other stuff that's moving to D around there. But the question is on the table of if that's wise to do with the mobile home park south of Park Lake, because even though moving the future land use to D would reflect what's currently allowed there, if that park was to go out of business and then now available for development, or development just really likes a big parcel that's cheap and available land, buy it out and put a manufacturing facility just south of Park Lake.
So you're saying the future land use should then be HDR?
You could do
even though
HDR,
that would
then-
make it currently non-conforming, but
It'd be
grandfathered in,
it'd
so
be
it
a
doesn't
legal
matter.
non-conforming, yeah. And then you,
Well, it already is, cause
Yeah.
it's already zoned HDR.
and then you
Yeah.
prevent yourself
I think that seems like a better fit with the surrounding properties.
Okay,
I'll agree with that.
okay.
So can we, what about, I mean, we have mixed use over there with the marijuana facilities. I mean, can we just change all the colors that are not yellow or orange into, what is that, a fuchsia pink development
Yeah,
district?
more peach, yeah, I think that's what we're really looking to, really blend peach. This peach is gonna become like this whole Saginaw M78 corridor is gonna be
Well,
peach.
should we also include the township parcel in there?
Yes.
It's currently green.
Oh,
The
yeah,
one
this
right-
one,
right
yeah,
where it
the
says Upton, yeah.
Sorry, I thought you meant this part.
No.
This, okay. Is that any opposition to that?
But
Okay,
is that your vision for it? You wouldn't want
I
it to
think
become a
that
part
our
of that.
vision is wide open for it. I don't think we have any.
development makes it more dynamic.
Frankly, it's vacant, unused, right, in terms of its actual usage.
Right,
If you
yeah.
own the property, you have the ability to put out an RFP for it if you want. You can say, show us what you got to a developer and pick your favorite.
Yeah, I mean, it'd be great if we had the resources to put in a cool park there with trails and pickleball courts and all the
Just
things,
do it
but
millage.
we, hush.
It's really not centrally located.
We don't have the resources to do that currently. It's just sitting there, not benefiting and not generating any tax revenue.
I mean, if we had a park authority that had its own tax revenue, I mean, we could.
Have you been getting Ray's emails? That's what it sounds like. Really
Who do you
cocky.
think gave him the idea?
It would be nice if it was right across the road, but it's also far
But-
away from us.
Making it development, I guess, gives you
Sorry, rabbit
options,
trail.
so
Yes.
is there opposition to that? Oh, okay.
No reason not to, in my opinion.
What? Load, oh, load on screen.
I guess, just going back to the community facilities again, we want to bring these into D.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, and then this one is pretty obvious, it just becomes what's around it. But this is the last.
That's the school district.
Exactly, that's the school. So if they, let's say, built a new school here in the future or something, what would we want to happen with that? What designation would we want to put here?
Probably
High density
D.
development,
What'd you say?
high density development.
Oh,
What do you want?
I was just thinking D. Oh, no, change it to change it to high density residential.
The red, right?
High density development or high density residential? Cause that's different.
Well, you don't have to change the whole thing, so you could do HDD over here and HDR over here as a transition.
Yeah, that might be, cause the east side is much more rural than the west side of it.
Yeah, that would transition here.
You don't foresee that blue being high density residential?
Well, I don't foresee anything happening at the school in 20
It's
years,
very
but
unlikely in the next 20 years.
for the sake of good planning,
You're assuming public education is not gonna go away with AI.
I will just move off the plan.
So that property just south of this school property, it looks gray, is that just red, but it's got some, because it's got all the lines in it that looks gray?
Yeah,
it's just so many small parcels.
Yeah, that's what I thought, yeah, it must be, it's really,
yeah, it's Mead Creek.
So I think to answer your question, I think, that there's two parcels there, right? The one on the left would be zones red, which would be high density development, right? And then the other one would be zoned rural to be like it's adjacent zoning, correct?
You could do rural or some
Rural
sort
or
of
the
intermediate.
in-between, cause I mean, Mead Creek's definitely not rural.
No.
But on the other side of the parcel definitely is, so I suppose whatever sort of is in between, like
But it
medium
might not-
You could do
density.
a step down zoning, which would be
Yeah.
like medium, and it's big enough, it's a large enough parcel where that wouldn't necessarily be considered spot zoning. There's a couple of things that get you outside of spot zoning, it's either a cluster of parcels that, you know, is usually 10 or greater, or you get to certain size and parcel where it's like, okay, well, that parcel could easily become 10 parcels.
What does Mead Creek zone
And then
does?
you could change it later.
Mead Creek's current zoning is D development, or I'm sorry, HDD, and then
HDD.
its future proposed, its future is high density, and its future proposed is the same.
Same, yeah.
High density residential, that is.
I don't think you'd wanna make the east part of that school property rural, because that's inside the urban service boundary.
Yeah, oh, that's true, that's a good point.
Yeah, you could go to MDR or HDR or something, just so it's not high
Yeah.
density development all the way.
Just step it down.
Yeah.
Any opposition to a step zoning there? Good point though about being inside the service area.
Like southwestern.
What about the I-69 sign,
This,
the white spot right there, why is that?
Oh, yeah, what's going
Why is
on
that
there?
rural?
these are probably just GIS things that are
I wondered
happening.
about that.
Yeah,
It
there's
might
probably
be-
something in the sheet file.
I bet it's cause it's an MDOT parcel.
Oh,
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, that there, that's
Up by
another,
the
yeah,
I-69.
That's most likely owned by MDOT.
Probably, yeah.
Is my guess.
I think they're talking about the parcel that's underneath the I-69
It's
sign.
like right
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what parcel that is.
Isn't that behind the old trailer park?
Yeah, but is that MDOT? Oh, it's Dale Hosford, so no.
No, it's the one right next to it.
This one?
That one.
No,
To the right?
there you go.
Yeah, I think it's one of these.
Oh, Michigan Department of Natural Resources. So we'll double
What's
check.
them
If it's,
ponds, right?
if it's a residential parcel, then it's just an error on GIS. If it's MDOT, it's just zone, it's just white because it's getting whited out by non-taxable parcels.
Did Dale do the Hawks Ridge development?
No.
He just happens to own that?
He gained these two at some point.
Okay.
The zoning's favorable.
Yeah. He,
You could put some marijuana facilities there.
Dale will tell you, he knows what he's got.
It's along the highway, data center.
Far enough away from Webster too.
Any, Joe, Rose, anything else that you guys had questions for?
The only thing that was left was the rural district discussion, because we didn't really seem to land anywhere. It was brought up last time, this boundary was drawn on here, but we didn't actually land on what to do about that, if we were gonna make any changes to, or suggest any changes to rural ag, or if we're gonna,
We had some thought on that, if we could, Jason?
I mean, I have a lot of thought. I advocated for it, but I mean, I'm just one vote. I mean, if no one else is interested in
What
it.
did you,
Could you give the rationale again? I don't remember specifically.
Yeah, so, if you look at that map, there's rural that is, adjacent to, I don't know, medium, density development, some of our more, developed spaces. But we have all this agricultural land to the north and to the west of us. That vast white space, that's not colored. You know, I think some of the issue that we've run into in terms of adjusting our zoning ordinances is what is reasonable for restrictions related to those portions of rural closer to where there's development versus those that are used for agricultural purposes. And so if we were to differentiate the rural zoning into rural residential and rural agricultural, that would give us more flexibility to create stronger restrictions that are more aligned with the gentleman to my right's sensibilities about 50 years from now, how we want our community to look, while also protecting the farmers to the north and west of us, north and west of the township.
To take that, so if north of the yellow that's on that map,
Yeah, what is that, slate, or is that just,
Yeah,
It's halfway between slate
Herbicide.
and herbicide.
and if you were to make that the, not rural ag, but rural residential, and say that's the future use along whatever touches the yellow, up to whatever the road is, I can't read that.
so that's gonna be Cutler, that is the northern edge of our township.
Okay, not that far, I wasn't even going to Howe.
Like Clay's Road?
Clay's Road, okay.
Sorry, it's hard to see, it's small.
Just take it so that that boundary would be, in the next 20 years, that's where any development might happen for residential.
Can I say? Okay, so, yeah, I think like, obviously, I think what Commissioner Almaridge's getting at is a real dilemma that I've even seen in my time, is like, there's these budding up forces in Bath, like there are in most communities, of legacy interests versus like, kind of like, let's call them like, new residential interests, like somebody moves to Bath, they're trying to subdivide an agricultural property. I know a lot of the farmers in the area are constantly getting letters, hey, can I break off 2 acres off the frontage? This would be a move to kind of lay out, rules of the sandboard on how that could work, and that can help stabilize ag. So, there's that. In terms of process, where I'm interested in knowing the direction here is, again, there's a couple options on the table. It sounds like we're all on board with the proposed current zoning being an action item following the adoption of this plan. Where I'm unclear is, Commissioner Almaridge, would you like to see the separation of the rural district into 2 districts as a part of the proposed future land use map? Or are you requesting this as an action item of the proposed current zoning? Cause either way, I think to divide out a district, we almost need like a working session to do that, cause it's gonna almost be like this group of parcels, not that group of parcels, and it's gonna be kind of labor intensive.
Well, since you asked me, I would say that if we make it an action item, then it will get done. If we make it a proposed future goal state, we will not act upon it.
I think that's kind of, it's gonna be both. Because if you wanna be breaking out this district into 2, so that you've got a greater degree of ability to take certain parts of it, you probably should reflect that on your future land use map. So you say, here's what we're thinking, we want, and I'm just gonna point, and you can correct me later, about what parts of this you're thinking about. But let's say you want these bits here to be rural residential and the rest to be rural agricultural, just as an example. I would say identify that as rural residential and rural agricultural as 2 separate categories on your future land use map, and make it an action item. And then you can follow up with the zoning, but now it's reflected on your future land use map. And the boundaries can be a little bit, you can make final decisions on that later, because you're not gonna marry it to parcel lines. But it gives you the flexibility to then pursue that as, okay, here, why are we creating this new district? Well, we're creating this new district because we called for it in our master plan, and it's explained in our master plan.
And that would be the same like in the M78 corridor.
That process makes sense to me, but just cause I haven't been through this process a ton in my career, obviously I'm earlier in my career. You're saying that when we propose this on the future, we don't need to have it like tight to every single parcel, there's some flexibility, but it can almost, cause I've seen this on future land use maps before. I don't think we should get this abstract with it, but it's almost like blobs of areas.
Yeah, that's more of like when you're doing general area plans, you sort of think you need to overlap sometimes.
Okay.
You do get a little more granular here, but you don't put the parcel boundaries on there specifically because you're not saying this should be that.
You're just like this general
It's
area.
just this area, and then as you're fine tuning it in the amendment process, you can make decisions on this parcel and this parcel and this parcel.
Yeah, cause like drafting up a district and then going like parcel by parcel would be a heavy lift as we're also trying to get this comp plan through on a timeline.
But we could create the district in the future land use map and also add it as an action
Yeah,
item
yeah,
on the-
and
If
I'm
you're
all on
putting it
board.
on here, it should also be an action.
Okay.
I'm all on board there.
So I guess with that said, I pointed at generic geography. What was the actual geography you were thinking in terms of, so some of it's gonna be ag and some of it's gonna be rural res. Which parts were you thinking would be rural res?
On that question, if that's what the planning commission is into, one thing that I would propose is, I think we could probably, on the staff side, kinda go parcel by parcel, like on our staff side. Go out into this area and just let us put something together where we put the larger farms into one district and the more consolidated rural areas into another. Work with the consultants on it and let us bring it back, and then you guys can say like, oh, you're way off on this side, or, because if we were to go, that could be a whole thing. And then maybe we even send it out to you guys beforehand and just via email and let us know if we're in the right direction.
I would say just as rough lines, north of Slate or north of a line connecting the Urbison roads, or was it Howe roads, I guess? And then Center Road as west of Center and north of, Urbison. Does that make sense?
Does to me.
Does everybody knows what he's talking about?
And we'll be zoning in, there's gonna be a lot of DNR stuff in that area, but again, we'll just zone over that and just see how it goes. And a lot of that DNR is even leased for farming anyway, so it kinda still fits into that ag designation. Is the planning commission, just cause I'm trying, yeah, I mean, it's doable from my perspective, it's not a ununique ask.
Because you don't have to go parcel by parcel, because just go with the roads as much as you can, because it's a start point, 20 years.
I mean, while I feel strongly about this, I'm not hearing a whole lot of clamoring by the other planning commissioners, so.
I don't disagree with you at
Now,
all.
what
I
about
think it'd be-
parcel size?
Yeah.
Should that be a factor, I guess?
It probably would be a factor, but that'd be more
Obviously
something we
is.
would dive out in the action item.
Yeah.
You're probably not gonna want a smaller parcel size necessarily in the rural residential. It might almost be going the other direction or what.
I think part of the history is that you've got these larger farms that have parceled out, elements for grandkids, kids and grandkids. And so you got 2 acre parcels that.
Which is the current
People have
minimum.
still moved there specifically because of the agricultural rural nature, not necessarily because it's a smaller parcel.
And one thing that's important to know, again, like some of those laws I was foreshadowing earlier, there is a law that's moving through the state right now, related to land use that says if in any district in the state of Michigan where housing is a by right use, which right now that's every district in Bath Township, the lot maximum size for if utility, sewer and water are available is like, I wanna say, it's small, it's like,
very small.
and then if utilities are not available, it's like an acre. So smaller than what we,
So our 2 acres. would be-
our 2 acre, we would have to rewrite our zoning. But to Commissioner Alvarengi's point, if you establish a district where, you know, housing is, let's say, permitted by special use permit or something, and it could be even an administrative special use permit, but then you would get outside of the state's requirement to downzone lot size.
An amendment to the Land Division Act has already passed. It becomes effective in March 2027. And there used to be a limit on the number of splits on a parcel. You can only do 10 a certain amount of time.
Yeah, 13 years,
They've eliminated that as
Yep.
of next March, so you can just split off.
Split away.
Parcels now, you just keep splitting. So that's also going to affect rural areas, or suddenly you're going from having a
No
lot
sp-
of restrictions on how much you can split up an 80-acre piece to have it all stuff.
So these are good things to be thinking about, and again, what's being proposed tonight would be an ag preservation move.
Yeah.
So could you explain to me the difference between the rural and rural ag, how that would
Well, I don't know,
affect-
I think what I'm hearing is that it would be an ag preservation move, like I just said, so the language hasn't been drafted yet, this would be an action item, but presumably the language would state that, you know, the by right land uses would all be ag or ag adjacent. The special, land uses that would be permitted would include whatever this body decides. And then the rural residential, the by right uses would be more residential based, and the special, you can't exclude farming, so you still gotta allow it. And then the special uses would be probably what is allowed there now. Is that largely what you were thinking, or am I outside of that?
It's adjacent to what I was thinking.
Okay,
I don't know about, I wasn't at the point of thinking about a rural or an agricultural preservation district. I was just thinking about how the land is actually used and what is not enforced in those districts. And, you know, having some relaxed ordinances, setbacks, et cetera, that's more in alignment with how the property is used.
okay. But again, that would be an action item that could fall up in this body, we get to determine the language, but I'm hesitant to move down that step if there's not buy-in, because then we'd be doing a lot of work for a lot of no's. I'm all in for doing whatever you guys wanna do, but I don't like doing a lot of work just to
Do you
get
wanna
voted
voice how you
down.
feel about it?
We're talking for the future, and if we don't start planning it, because if there is growth, there's not much land to the south to develop, it's gotta go north.
So would that restrict?
Does it? I mean, or do we find a happy space of where we are in our current land use?
Send it all to do it.
It's not much room left.
But Mark, it sounds like what you're saying though is, this would be a way to prevent sprawl, which I think has always been kind of a cornerstone of the dilemma of Bath, is we're sprawling in the south more, but if we can contain that and keep the rural character in the north, that's been the needle that Bath has always tried to thread. What's being proposed, I think, is in line with that, but is this planning commission buying into that?
I mean, we should leverage the data that we've collected from our community members as to why they live here.
Agreed. I'm not,
But then it's such a great place to live that everyone wants to live here, and then there's nowhere to live, and the only way to make more places to live is to have more of that sprawl.
We don't make more spaces,
Where-
places to live.
Where Mark lives used to be a field when I was a kid, so, same thing for where Ray lives. That's
Ray's
Sod
is probably
Farm.
more of a swamp, but
Right,
it's
exactly.
very dry now, it's beautiful.
So, you know,
Ray.
No, parts of it is a swamp, I
Yeah.
agree.
but without, I don't think we're gonna get the large sprawl in the agricultural areas without the sewer to go along with it.
That's that's true, but.
And if you look, pretty much the only place that can happen is off of Clark and Slate, where that sewer is currently.
Infill encroaches though, so. I don't know what,
Vice Chair, I'd recommend getting a vote, just so that there's clear guidance for the planning director as
I
to
think
whether or
that's
not
some
to
good advice.
advocate or allocate resources.
thank you.
So, you want just a vocal, be okay?
Well, what, we need a motion second.
Yeah, so I'll move to, ask that planning staff and consultants, draft out a division of the rural district into two sub-districts, one a rural residential and one rural agricultural, based on the discussion we've had tonight.
And I'll support that.
Craner second.
Okay. You wanna do,
We can do a roll call vote.
Okay.
Is there any more discussion on that though? I just, the only problem I have with that is, again, if it's my property, somebody tell me what I can't do and can't do it, so. That being said, just throwing that out there. I don't like the sprawl either. Any more discussion? Hearing none, you do a roll call?
Yeah, Vice Chair Baker,
Yes?
Commissioner Crainer,
Yes.
Trustee Hagerman,
Yes.
Commissioner Severie,
Yes.
Commissioner Almaridge,
Yes.
Commissioner Coulter,
Yes.
Chair Wright accent. Yeas have it. Thanks, guys, thanks for the vote too, that helps.
That was wonderful. Is there any more discussion on, the maps that you see you need, Miles, from us?
No, I think that's a lot. We'll give it our best shot, and I'm gonna do my darnest to, even if we can't work with you guys, me and, my staff will at least try to bring something back to make sure we're moving in the right direction, so our GIS maps can keep moving.
Thank you so very much. Great communication.
Okay.
Do I hear a motion to close the, do I need to do that?
No, just next topic.
Okay, new business, the CIP introduction. Can you give us that, Miles? When
Yeah.
you're ready?
Alright, well, it's that time of year again, we did have a, kind of meeting between that meeting between myself, Kate, Ryan, and Karen, before Karen went on her, quick leave here.
John was there too.
Yeah, that's true, the chair was there as well. And the CIP came up briefly, me and Karen have talked about the CIP, and I believe Karen kinda said to me, before I dive into the whole CIP thing, that as a part of the board going to the MTA conference this year, I guess they attended several CIPs where her and Ryan were in discussions about, over the last couple of years, they've heard feedback about what people like and don't like about the CIP process and getting the planning commission more involved in different aspects of the CIP process. And, she did mention, you know, she felt like we were late in the game this year to make major amendments to the process, but it's something that she's like, I really think we need to, change this up to reflect some of the feedback we've been getting. So I just wanted to mention that, cause I know it's been brought up, again, I'm an employee here, I have a boss, there's a board, this is the process they've laid out, this is the timeline we came up with. Thoughts?
Number one, I'd like to know from what was proposed last year, that any action has been taken on.
Well, I think that's the big dilemma, is because all of these projects come through, or these projects come through, and then there's no money in the budget to actually do anything with them. But at the same time, if we maybe found some money in the form of a grant or something, we would still need the process to be able to consider
To justify
those
it.
projects.
You've got the
So
project
it's,
on deck.
it feels like almost a red tape kind of step that we sort of have to do, but we aren't really getting anything for, but it's almost a just in case
Yeah,
process.
I don't think
At
that's
this point?
completely inaccurate, and another thing from my understanding, just to bounce off of that, is, you know, there's this whole facilities, needs assessment, which there was money allocated towards that. I know I've been working with, Ben Zeep, he put out the RFP for that. I think those have come in, then he fell through some ice and hurt his shoulder, and now he is on, he got his shoulder surgery finally, and he's coming back, but when he comes back, then those RFPs will be responded to, and that process can get rolling. I've also been working with, Clayton County Catalyst on gaining you guys a grant. I mean, it's a little bit outside of my wheelhouse, but I've like become the grant person, fortunately or unfortunately. So, I'm working on getting a grant from them to help pay for some of that, and I think that's going well. I don't have anything to report at this time, but it's positive. So that was kind of a holdup last year too, is they were like, well, we know we need all these things, but DPW was hesitant to bring more stuff forward because they felt like they wanted the need assessment to play
Yeah,
out.
I remember last year, I think we just sort of rubber stamped the previous year's projects because, for these same reasons that we're talking about.
Well, in the year prior to that, some projects that did get scored did get funded. So that was exciting and notable, I guess.
The challenge I have is that, I mean, township spends a lot of money, right? And a lot of money above $20,000 that adds value to the township, right? The problem is that we've excluded almost everything out of the capital improvement planning process because it's earmarked due to other budgets or other, situations. And so there's no money left over because all the money is being allocated because it's related to the police or it's related to, some other budget that's.
Statutorily required to fund.
Or roads, right?
Plugged my ears a second ago, and then you said it. True.
Definitely don't disagree. That's why I kinda led with the kinda insider baseball, if you will, conversation about at least the desire from leadership to kind of speak to that. With that being said, far be it from me to prevent anybody from advocating for themselves. I've at least been a part of CIP processes in our municipalities that operate far different than this one, and I've had success here, I've had success there. I think I encourage you guys to advocate to the board for the process that you desire.
Well, it's not quite clear to me what leadership is saying is broken. Or what they would like to see.
I think they've heard over the years the exact concern about like, hey, there's a lot of money moving around in this budget and we're only evaluating a small chunk of that, which usually goes unfunded. Like, I think we should be weighing in more on the funded side of things and where we think that ranks. I think they're hearing that, is what I'm trying to say.
But it was administration that moved that, you were part of that, as part of moving
I don't-
what is included within the capital improvement plan versus not included.
What are you talking about? Essential projects, or what do they call them in this thing here?
Oh, sorry. Let me get back to my agenda. Sorry, I was trying to mark something.
There's two different classifications of projects. One that we don't evaluate at all, because they're required. And I think that's what you're saying is-
Discretionary, non-discretionary.
Yeah. See, the non-discretionary, is it the board that's deciding what's non-discretionary? Who's deciding that?
Superintendent.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure I agree with that. Because some of the things that they're saying are non-discretionary, maybe if we went through the whole process, we'd find out that they're higher on a priority list than that one person thinks they are.
I think that might have been where some of the issue was brought to our attention. I'm having trouble remembering the specifics, but I do remember that something came up and somebody said, well, it was in the CIP, and then some of us are going, we don't remember it in the CIP. Well, it was it was added, but it wasn't the stuff that came through the planning commission. I'm remembering that conversation. I don't remember what the specific project was.
I remember that. Every year I feel
Yeah.
in a
That's-
weird spot about this. I don't know what to say.
It's kinda like roads. They always put this much money for roads, but who's deciding that is the highest priority for the township to do? I mean, some of these gravel roads need some work, from what I understand. I mean, Drumhill Road is a gravel road. To me, that doesn't need any work. If it's gonna stay, they just maintain it, looks pretty good. When it rains, that doesn't become a mud hole like I've heard some gravel roads do. The ones that become mud holes, we probably should do something about.
We do something about the dust right now? So part of the history is that, roads were actually part of the capital improvement plan prior to 2016, right? And so most things were part of it if it fell above like the $20,000 piece, or threshold. And so then there was concerns by administration that this created, more complexity for township trustees to make decisions. Is anybody, since anybody cares.
No, well, I'm listening.
The history helps newbies.
So, when you score things, it creates, more complexity in terms of the allocation of funds, right? And so we have systematically pulled out things. First it was roads, then it was, public safety, elements, and I can't even remember all the other things that we've extracted out. And now we've created basically inept, process that doesn't deliver anything useful to the township trustees, right? So I'm hearing two things. One is leadership, feels that the process doesn't give them useful information, but leadership has also been the group that has created this to be an inept process. So either we go back to our roots and say, here's the inclusion and exclusion criteria that we're gonna stick to, or we rubber stamp it again and say, y'all are not gonna do anything with it, so we're not gonna devote time to this.
And again, go back to the staff and waste their time putting it together to come to us.
Unfortunately, we have to do this statutorily.
And I think some stuff does have to come through anyways, so
But to raise comments, at least to me, it seems like it would be useful for an advisory body to look at all the different major expenses of the township and say, we as a body who are here to support future land use and planning, advise this prioritization of this, knowing full well that township board is gonna do what the township board is gonna wanna do, right?
Ultimately, they can, yeah.
Yep.
And they have additional information that we don't have access to, right? What is our budget? We have no money to spend, so we're not gonna fund these things.
One that, and going into a more in-depth process requires them to start putting some of that material together earlier in the year than they might be currently used to, and so there can always be hesitation. But again, to your point, the processes that I've engaged with in the past are much more similar to what you just spelled out than this. And so, I've always tried to walk a weird thin line for myself as the staff liaison to this body to say like, this is the process I've been given and I've inherited, but I encourage this body to advocate for the process that they think reflects their values and what's fair to them.
So another thing that was mentioned by Karen, at least as you shared, was that we're late in the process, right? So we really can't do anything here.
'Cause,
But
yeah,
every year, I feel like I'm a broken record, where I say the same thing. The process sucks, let's start fixing it right after we birth whatever this year's CIP plan, right? Or capital improvement plan, and then start making changes for the following year. But every year, it's delivered to us so far late in the game that we're locked into just moving forward with the same damn thing.
it's not really involved in the budgeting process, really.
but that is how it would have to be, like, you're right, like, if you wanted to evolve into a new process, leadership, when the budget is passed, would have to immediately start working on the new process.
Well, you know, the CIP process should identify the funding source. Now, the funding source may be general fund for most of these projects, of which we don't have any money, but is this coming from the sewer fund, which is self-supported supposedly? I think that's something else that needs to be looked at, is the rates for sewers. Bath Township, frankly, has one of the lowest sewer rates in the area. But I think we need to change the way we do that too, but that's another topic. But I think we need to put together the list of all the projects we're looking at and what the suggested funding source would be. We don't do that now.
Well,
It may be all general fund, but we need to put that in there so that when the public looks at it, they can say, well, that's general fund.
but isn't the board doing this with their strategic plan? I mean, aren't they talking about millages and stuff like that?
Yep.
Like, it seems
I
like
think
that is
that's
a whole
next
thing
on our
that,
agenda, maybe?
They talked about one last night, and I pointed out, you know, they gotta put together an education program. But if you look at the one they approved last night, it's a 41% increase for just that one. But as one of the commissioners correctly pointed out, that's a small part of the taxes that you pay. But for that one thing, it's a 41% increase. So they gotta be careful how they sell that.
that's not more than $20,000, is it?
Yeah, it is, it's like over $1 million.
So I hate to do that, I am like so reluctant every year to do this, but as a part of my job as the planning staff, this is the process I've been given. I don't require any action from you guys tonight, but this is the timeline that staff has spelled out. This will get, the CIP as it's been laid out for us to perform to the board prior to their budgeting cycle.
Does anybody have problems with the timeline?
We don't
have a
have
choice.
to act, right? They can have a timeline, it doesn't mean that we do an actual vote.
No,
No, we don't need to vote on it.
no,
No, at
We
all.
don't choose.
I have to, as a
This is
part of this process,
information.
I'll be bringing these things to you, and to Commissioner
wants to-
Almaregi's point, you guys can
He just wants
decide
to
to
know.
do your things.
Conscientious objection.
I'm okay with the timeline.
Yeah.
Everybody else okay with it?
I love it.
Okay, if everyone's good with the timeline, then thank you, I've got what I need.
Okay, thanks for the introduction. Report from the planner.
We had, the only thing that I think is, worth mentioning, I don't have any attachments, but, we did make an offer to a new intern. I don't know if I was able to mention that, but he'll be joining us the week of the 20th. I think that's a Wednesday.
yep, it is.
That'll be his first day. His name's Charlie. He's an MSU student, and, we look forward to having him on the team. You guys should meet him the first meeting next month.
Is he urban or regional planning?
He is urban and regional planning, yes. And he came highly recommended from several sources, so excited. Thank you.
No public for public comment. Report from the Board of Trustees representative.
We did have a special meeting last night. We did,
Kate?
make a decision on the millage. The reason that we had the special meeting last night was, we had to act this week if we wanted to, put a millage question on the ballot for August. And so that was, the reason for,
Concerning.
concerning Headley override. The millage rate for a township, charter townships is 5%, but over time, that gets decreased based on inflation versus property value ratio, and so we were currently at 3 point, I don't have my paper in front of me, 3 point
Something.
something millage rate. And the law provides for that millage rate to be restored to 5 with a referendum or a vote. And so, as we learned last night, the county does that every 4 years. They hold that Headley vote every 4 years to restore it, as do other municipalities in the area. Bath Township has not done that in a long time. So ours millage rate has just continued to decrease, and we've reached the point where we're spending about $500,000 out of our fund balance annually to support just our general operations, mainly police and fire. So even though we had that increase in the police and fire millage 2 years ago, it wasn't enough. It helped plug that hole, but it was not enough to completely stop that, to balance it out. So, we weighed some options. The board does have some options of, raising some revenue that doesn't require, a community vote, but we opted to go with the Headley override option for August, and put it into the hands of the voters. There were 4 different possible increases. This one, the smallest was that we looked at, like a $500,000 increase would get you about $350,000, $400,000 up to the 1.4 that we opted, which would restore it to the 5. Just restoring it to 5 doesn't mean that that's what the board has to levy, but that would give us the option to go up to 5 if we desired. Financially, obviously, if you don't raise that tax revenue, then you have to make some cuts, because the fund balance isn't going to be there forever to continue drawing out of. So, we opted to go with the Headley override for August. So that would give us enough money, were it to pass, to not have to draw out of the fund balance to balance our budget annually, as well as to be able to perhaps set some money aside for more roads projects, or the fire truck that we desperately will need. It will give a little bit of, I think it was gonna be 800,000.
I think that's what
Additional revenue based on the numbers.
So the
So-
township board voted to raise taxes
We did
to,
not vote to
off-
raise taxes, we voted to have a vote in the community.
So that'll be
voted
on
to support a
education.
vote to raise taxes to offset, raise taxes to support public safety.
Yes,
Okay.
and it will be on the same ballot as a Headley override for the county and also for RISA, I believe, as well. So there will be a number of similar asks on the ballot, as well as the primary for the November election.
It's optimal timing.
Real educational push too.
Yes, I think that's going to be very crucial on our staff end, and I'm hopeful that they can make that happen. But that's where we are at the Board of Trustees, that was all we did last night. We also had a, tree dedication ceremony for, Joe Benzie and Kathleen McQueen, who passed away in the previous Board of Trustees term. So you might notice a tree out by the road that's, in remembrance of Kathleen McQueen, and then we also put one at Westwasser Park for Joe Benzie, so we had some.
What kind of
Three-
trees?
I'm sorry?
What kind of trees?
It is, I wanna say like a paper bark maple?
Could be. There is such a thing.
Maple? Or birch?
No, paper bark maple, there's a birch too, that, I hope it's a maple, not a birch.
I believe they were maple is what I heard yesterday.
Tap them for maple syrup.
Well, I wasn't gonna say that at the tree dedication ceremony, but. And it would be quite a ways off for those trees anyway, they're fairly small, fairly new.
Thank you, Kate. Planning Commissioner comments?
I have a comment.
Absolutely.
I just want to recognize the vice chair's excellence in the management of today's meeting. His, what is it, the parliamentary skills were on point. And he kept the public at bay when they were supposed to be at bay. Like, just courage and leadership just
little bit.
ooze out of him.
Thank you.
I second that.
Any other, I appreciate, all the conversation we had, and I really appreciate all the work the planning department does during the week that we see here. It seems so, it's well put together, and, I appreciate all the work you guys do behind the scenes that I'm sure others didn't. I've recognized a little bit this week, some of the people that work in our township that don't get appreciated for the jobs they do. Like, I would hate to be the assessor. I was talking today with someone, and we were discussing that. I think that, for the most part, anybody I've ever seen in this office, I'd like to publicly say I've seen professionally talk to people and have the best interest of our residents at hand. I couldn't always say that in the past as I went to meetings and stuff, cause I doubted it. But I see, like sitting with you people, I see that, you know, the people I sit with care about our community, so I appreciate that. Appreciate those that work here every day. Any other comments?
Chandler Road. My understanding, that's supposed to start in June
Awesome.
sometime, from Coleman or up to State. I know the State Road's gonna be closed the 18th, and I can't understand, I don't know what this sign means. They had a sign up there for a while saying Chandler Road's gonna be closed sometime in May. Last night when I drove by, it says May 18th and 19th. I don't know if it's gonna be closed only for 2 days, or if that's just when it's gonna start being closed. I don't know. Because Coleman Road was closed for about a week ago. That's back open again now. So I don't know what the thing on State, that all has to do with the freeway construction, so it's got nothing to do with Chandler Road.
Okay.
So when Chandler Road starts though, what I found out is that project is going to go into next year because of deep sewer they gotta put in and all this other stuff. I have no idea what the schedule is. And like when they say it goes to State Road, are they gonna really keep the intersection of State Road open mostly? Or what, I would think they could, but I don't know. I don't know any details on that. But there's also gonna be a second phase of that road, that project, a separate project. It's gonna start at state and go further north up past Eagle Eye Golf Course. I don't know how far north it's gonna go, but that's gonna start probably in 28, I think, maybe 27 or 28, I
I
think.
think 27?
27 or 28, I'm not sure.
Just best to avoid the whole area if you can.
Oh, yeah, well, we've already discussed it, how do we get out of this
Get a
place?
new route, temporary new route, yes.
So we had a large fire at Chandler's Crossing. What happens if there's another large fire and Chandler's closed? I mean, I guess East Lansing would go north, right?
Yeah.
They probably, well,
Well, it's my understanding we have to keep a lane of Chandler open anyway.
Yeah,
throughout the whole
and
project
there's
anyway.
always emergency,
Yeah.
well, there'll be emergency access plan.
Yeah.
But yeah, the mutual aid, I mean, probably, I wasn't out there, I haven't talked to the fire department about it, it's been a busy week, but, mutual aid from the pictures I saw looked like it was in full swing.
Will there be non-motorized access through that corridor during those close downs?
That's a good, I don't know. I know that we did, I think I said this in a previous meeting, we, kind of side note but related, we did receive money from Tri-County's non-motorized allotment for a non-motorized project, 2028, I believe. So that'll be interesting.
Well, Chandler Road is supposed to provide non-motorized, a widened shoulder.
And hopefully with
6
some of that
inches.
money, it'll get even wide, hopefully we can meet the regulation of almost like a 6-foot wide shoulder, at least on one
That'd
side.
be nice, yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to get the bikers away from the 55-mile-an-hour vehicles.
We're getting closer and closer to biking to work.
Right?
Closer and
The
closer.
gas is
Oh
crazy.
my God,
Used to be one of those scooters and use that.
that's true. But where? All the way around Park Lake?
Yeah.
Move to adjourn.
thank you.
Second.
Second by Kate Agman.
Yes.
Jason moved to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Hearing none.